Indian Elon on a booster anti-gravity rocket. Yeah, that makes as much sense as the news today. As the AI slop is officially here and taking over all of this, as there's a lot of crazy, insane news happening right now, as Tyler Robinson is having his day in court, and the internet is still ablaze with rumors and theories about who he is, if he's actually responsible here. All of this as we are soon about to get a major Epstein update, as we have the Israeli ambassador coming out and saying, nothing to see here, folks. Yeah, right. All of this as Congress is passing some interesting resolutions and failing to pass other ones, while AI becomes more racist against white people, as new studies and science is coming out, specifically talking about an injection that now allegedly causes heart issues. All of this is now the United States government is playing pirate while trying to reestablish and redraw the American-European partnership alliances, as Donald Trump has picked 4 countries that he wants to now officially break from the European Union, which would make Europe great again. I kind of like this idea, as it looks like the war in Ukraine will be continued, as the U.S. government is passing $800 million aid packages to Ukraine. They're doing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of news today. I know I usually focus on one particular issue and do a deep dive and tell you about what people are thinking, saying, my thoughts, my expressions. This time we're doing something different, and we are doing a video on all the different news subjects that we have not been able to talk about, that we're going to be talking about in this specific video. So if you're trying to get the lowdown of stuff that is happening today, this is the video for you. Subscribe. We definitely appreciate all of your time and attention with us. As of course, there was a huge protection convoy for the alleged Kirk assassin, Tyler Robinson, on his way to court, where he was seen grinning and smiling. As, of course, the court now has very fierce, intense security, as being reported by Fox News, as several blocks are being cordoned off. There's police officers in all types of directions. Doors are being zip-locked, as this is his first in-person appearance, as now the judge has ordered a closed session hearing that even his family could not observe. Now, some people are coming out and saying he's a patsy. Other people are saying he's demonic, he's evil. Clearly, he's responsible for it. As, of course, currently, in the making of this video, he's denying wrongdoing. There's other people debating whether he's guilty or not, and we're going to see the volumes of evidence that the U.S. government has that they're going to be presenting soon, that hopefully will allow us to fully understand what's really going on here and address some of the theories and the conspiracies that I believe do deserve our attention, do deserve to be addressed and talked about in a real way. All of this as the political scene still is very tumultuous, to say the least, as Glenn Beck recently interviewed Erika Kirk, talking about specifically the huge amounts of threats that still continue to this day.
Do you think Charlie knew to some degree and had made the conscious choice that I may be taken out early, not saying he knew that day, but that he had any inkling that this might come his way and that he intentionally chose to move forward with faith in God?
It's interesting because I have unbelievable amounts of death threats. My kids have kidnapping threats, death threats. Our whole team has death threats. We knew that there was always going to be a threat, but Charlie and I we promised each other we would never live in fear. And he would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me. But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me.
This is what Candace claimed.
Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone. Didn't say that. And so what I do know is that we believe in the power of prayer. And what I do know is that we believe in our sovereign God. And what I do know is that that night before, we did what we usually did before tours. We said our prayer. And we asked the Lord to protect us. And we asked the Lord that his will be done. That's what we did.
As the political landscape just keeps devolving here, as there's very little trust in the federal authorities here, and I think a lot of that has to do with what has been going on with the Epstein files that are soon about to be released next week. The Clintons are also testifying, Bill and Hillary, one day and then 2 days before the official release is supposed to happen from the U.S. federal government. As now the ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, came out and said no foreign government was blackmailing the United States with the Epstein files. As of course, people are asking, how would the ambassador know for certain? And second of all, didn't he just invite a traitor to the United States, to the American embassy that previously stole American classified documents, that he now allowed him into a building with classified documents? Why hasn't that issue been ever addressed or talked about in a very specific way? All of this as the Republicans keep failing in the Senate, as the U.S. Senate just rejected a Republican-proposed solution for Obamacare with a 51-48 vote, which would have given Americans, quote, according to Derek Evans, American people their money instead of giving it to big insurance companies. This bill was backed by Trump, and it failed. All of this, as people are saying, who cares about government? The AI is going to be in charge soon, and the AI is going to be very racist against white people. Now, before getting into that and talking about the piracy and this new European alliance, I kind of like this European alliance plan, to be quite honest with you. We wanted to tell you about WeAreChange.shop. We have a great shop, a lot of great, incredible products. My sleep, my health, my overall personal well-being has skyrocketed. 1, sleep, and I attribute that to supplementation. But 2, meditation, relaxing, I still work extremely hard, and I need to, especially after the IRS destroyed me last year. But anyway, there's other people who talk about health a lot, individuals like Gary Brecka, that came out and says, if you're always stressed, here are the top things you should be taking. Number 1, magnesium at the evening. Yep. And we have our magnesium bundle with vitamin D. That's the superpower right there. But overall, magnesium, lots of people are deficient in it. Very hard to test for it. But vast majority of Americans are deficient because our food doesn't have it anymore. That's why I have magnesium glycinate. I take it. He says glycine, GABA. We don't have that. But he says ashwagandha. It's an adaptogen that helps build stress resiliency. And I love my ashwagandha. I take it 1 month out of the year. Some medical professionals say you could take it 3 months out of the year. I say, for me, I like being extra cautious. And if I'm dealing with an incredible amount of stress, ashwagandha has helped me, has helped my women friends deal with a lot of stress. For men, it helps them boost their testosterone. For women, it helps them normalize their hormones. Not everyone should be taking it, especially if they're dealing with thyroid issues or liver issues. Talk to your medical professional before putting anything into your own body. We have our omega-3s also available, our number 1 selling supplement, essential fatty. And then, of course, our creatine, which just came in. It's on back order. It's not going to be on back order anymore within the next few hours. We finally have our creatine. Secure your order. It used to be our best-selling one, and it is so good. It is incredible. It is awesome. It is the next level type of game changer that I have experienced that has absolutely made me feel absolutely incredible. So yeah, out of the top 5, and again, we didn't coordinate this. Gary doesn't know about our shop, but out of the 5 things he recommends, we don't have one of them. We have 4 of them, and they're all available on WeAreChange.shop. Check out the bundles because you could probably get all of them in a lot more of a cheaper fashion. Great holiday bundle. If you know anyone dealing with anxiety, stress, panic attacks, nervous systems, breakdowns, have a conversation about them taking care of their health and be like, hey, let's take a look at these supplements and see if they're right for you. WeAreChange.shop. Support yourself, support your own individual health journey. Now, it came out today that Microsoft AI is programmed to hate white people. Microsoft AI says, stop hurting white people is an example of hate speech. Why? Because it was probably written by some woke tard in San Francisco, California, with pink armpit hair, with their flip-flops and Starbucks yuppie drinks. Stop hurting white people. Go forth and make white children. Examples of hate speech according to the AI. Who's writing this? It's like, what? As Elon Musk came out, who programmed Microsoft AI to be racist? The woke people in San Francisco and their woke, demonic, evil, leftist cult. As now, that same cult was forcing algorithms and social media companies, along with the intel agencies and the Biden administration, to force a medical procedure on you that now we're finding out, according to the latest scientific studies, does attack and trigger immune cells to attack the heart. Yeah. Quote, potentially causing damage. Yeah. There needs to be justice immediately, as of course the people who were conspiracy theorists like us that were talking about this for a very long time, that were censored and absolutely ridiculed and destroyed, need some restitution. As today, the Venezuelans are also asking for their own restitution, as the United States just seized an oil tanker off of the coast of Caracas. Off the coast of Venezuela. Caracas is inside. I apologize for that. As Caracas, Venezuela, and the Venezuelan government is condemning this as an act of piracy. Now, clearly, this is a poking and prodding attack that has been escalating and building, trying to get Nicolas Maduro out of political office, as Nicolas Maduro is trying to negotiate, trying to get a better deal, trying to get weapons from China and Russia right now, as the United States has a huge military buildup. They're threatening invasions. They're threatening to bomb not just the vessels and to confiscate the vessels coming out of Venezuela. They're threatening to bomb what they call drug operations inside of Venezuela, as the U.S. Presidency has a lot of influence from Florida, and a lot of the influence from Florida have very strong anti-communistic sentiments. And they believe if Venezuela falls, so will Cuba, as there are reports of this oil tanker making its way to Cuba, then of course confiscated, as it was a very large oil tanker that the United States is now boasting about stealing. Listen, the United States has a lot of history of hijacking ships, selling their cargo. We've done this to Iran before during Trump's first term. This is nothing new. It is meant to escalate tensions. It is meant to put maximum economic, financial, and political military stress on Nicolas Maduro, as the Trump administration is using everything that they have at their disposal, trying to get Nicolas Maduro out of power. CNN is reporting what Trump's latest dramatic Venezuela move means. The Trump administration's seizure of an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela is one of the most dramatic twists yet in a military presence campaign against Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. The boarding of a foreign ship is an unusual step and expands a U.S. operation already hijacking by strikes against more than 20 boats in the Caribbean, as the United States also came out and said, yeah, now we're going to go after them on land. What does that mean? How will that look like? The military there is ready. They are drilling. They are wargaming, and they are plotting and planning an ouster of Nicolas Maduro. Now, I believe, and I think I have correctly diagnosed this, as of course I'm not for war. I don't want war. Regime change wars don't work. And I think the Trump administration understands that. And I think their strategy here is like, yeah, we're going to threaten them. Nicholas steps down. We're going to put in our guy. Our guy is going to be more favorable towards the United States, more favorable towards U.S. Corporations, U.S. influence in the region. Then we're going to be able to deal with Cuba and allow Latin America to be more of a sphere of influence towards the United States. Now, China already is building up a huge megaport in Peru. They already built it, which automatically takes the main shipping port in the United States in Los Angeles and makes it a lot less important. So you see China developing multiple economic financial relationships with not just Venezuela, but with Peru in the region, that also has been accused of providing a lot of white powdery substances and things like that, the little to the world. Brazil also is doing a lot of economic ventures with China, as well as the United States, I believe, is trying to bolster up their influence and dominance in the region. The Mexican president has spoken out against this, and the Trump administration is emboldened more than ever, saying, yeah, we got to stop these drug runners, as many analysts have even broken down how a lot of this particular substance, specifically moving out of Venezuela, actually makes its way over to Europe and Africa. A lot of the paraphernalia usually makes its way from China over to Mexico, and from Mexico over into the United States through the border. Now, Donald Trump has obviously done a lot to secure the border, and obviously the war on drugs is something that will always be a continued failure of the American empire that will, of course, continue. Now, with this seizure, there's tens of millions of oil And the White House is saying that there will be, quote, legal processes that will be followed. I don't know what kind of legal processes you follow after taking someone's boat, but the footage was definitely eye-opening to say the least here, as Nicolas Maduro was also seen holding a ceremonial sword that has allegedly belonged to Simon Bolivar. As some people are saying, the sword represents a lot of symbolic gestures of fighting, and there's a lot of lore surrounding it specifically. Now, with this campaign, I know a lot of people betting money right now that, like, yeah, the United States is going to invade and they're going to attack. There's going to be a war. I don't think there will. I think Trump's going to continue escalating. I think Maduro's going to continue to be stubborn here, as now Trump is sanctioning Maduro's nephew and 6 other ships that were carrying oil. Now, another thing that the United States is trying to do to bolster and embolden its sphere of influence is to deal with those pesky Europeans, specifically the Germans, the French, and the British, as they have stood in the way of peace talks between the United States and Ukraine. They have been issuing and arresting people for right-wing political ideology. They have been arresting people that are politicians that represent populist, right-wing, MAGA-like sort of ideas inside of Europe. We had J.D. Vance go to Europe and say, Europe, stop. Allow free speech and allow people to have actual democracy. Allow people to actually vote for whatever political party they want to vote for. Stop arresting people on the right. They refuse to do so. They continue to do so. And there are many egregious cases, especially that you keep hearing from the United Kingdom, of these people being arrested. Now, other countries that are more free, more democratic, like Austria, Hungary, Poland, and Italy, that actually allow different political voices in their country and don't prosecute and punish them for expressing political thoughts and opinions, are now considered to be 4 countries that Donald Trump wants to get out of the European Union and make them a part of a Make Europe Great Again strategy. Now, what do all these countries have in common? A lot of people say that they have free, fair, and open elections, unlike the rest of Europe that arrests political opponents. You saw what happened in Romania. You saw what happened in France. It's pretty crazy. You see what's happening in the United Kingdom. And a lot of those countries, Germany, France, and England, are becoming more and more, not just Islamic, more third world, more oppressive, more authoritarian, and more away from the ethos of America and its kind of representative form of freedom and liberty. Now, Poland, Hungary, and Italy and Austria represent countries that are more free. And if we are able to establish better, stronger ties with those countries, I think that's an overall net benefit, since we are then going to foster and grow relations with countries that more align with our values. As, of course, many people predict France, Germany, and the UK will become Muslim-majority countries soon, Muslim-ruled countries with nuclear weapons that raise and pose specific questions about the future of their political leadership. And Donald Trump building this kind of separate alliance is building an alliance where he is able to fortify some kind of populist right-wing ideology inside of this country that is able to be secured instead of dominated and destroyed from internally with these larger plans that are meant to specifically extinguish and destroy Western civilization and the culture, that there are being deliberate efforts to plunge into perpetual forever wars. And again, Mike Cernovich called it out today, saying, especially with the NATO representation, because again, if you're able to break up the European Union and you're able to, of course, create this separate type of alliance, you're able to break away from a lot of the nonsense those other countries are pushing and the direction and categories that they're going to, and you're able to, of course, focus your resources, your relationships, your partnerships, your economic ties, and your military ties towards countries that are more aligned with you. So this is Trump's plan to separate them from the EU, since the EU has been a thorn in Donald Trump's side and has been a thorn in, I would say, the European side and the local population side. As I think this is a very interesting strategy, and a strategy that definitely is more outside of previous political leadership that cheered on the political prosecution of right-wing political ideology. As right now, Donald Trump also released a national security memo talking about how the demographic changes inside of Europe are of a national security importance. And I agree with him. As these countries, specifically Hungary, really moving closer towards an American orbit makes sense, as Europe keeps being plunged into more war, and their promises are more left-wing, authoritarian, technocratic, left-wing, woke policies that have absolutely, in my personal opinion, destroyed the once very wonderfully fun to visit European nations that no longer are that fun to visit. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Did I miss any particular story that you wanted me to talk about today when it comes to all the news? Let me know what that is down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for purchasing our supplements. Again, do your own homework. If you're feeling stressed, meditate. Try to go for a walk. And then change your diet, supplement, and make sure you have the best life possible. Don't let anyone take that away from you. And this is why I try to end every single video by saying something a little positive. And that's why I try to say, I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.